We sell more wood products than all the metals and minerals, grain and meat, fish, and even automobile parts combined. For a long time, we've generally looked at the millions of square kilometers of forest in Canada as inexhaustible. We assumed it would simply grow itself back on its own fast enough to keep up with the cutting down. But it can't, and the industry and government folks are starting to realize that. A few years ago, Des Crosley, the former head of the Forestry Department of an Alberta pulp mill and one of the gurus of sustained yield forestry, where you plant as many trees as you cut down, told me we had about 15 years left before the Canadian forest industry collapsed. That is, unless there were some drastic changes in forest management immediately. Well, there are a few management changes underway, but they're not coming fast enough. However, just in the nick of time, biotechnology is roaring onto the scene, kicking up a cloud of tissue culture and identical clones. Forestry hasn't received the kind of attention agriculture crops have from biotechnologists, but the new science is starting to catch on amongst the hewers of wood. Forest scientists in labs right across the country, in Fredericton, Kingston, Chalk River, Saskatoon, and Calgary, are working on new high-tech ways to grow better trees in a hurry. They're trying to develop what you might call super trees, or as they call them, elite trees. If they're successful, they'll end up with varieties of specialized trees that grow fast and straight and resist things like insects, drought, salty soil, and disease. It's very intricate work, but the researchers are getting better all the time. The idea is to use technology to grow clones. That way they can get innumerable little trees exactly the same as the superior big tree the clones come from. And that's good from a tree breeder's point of view. It means there won't be the unpredictable variation in offspring you get when the little trees grow naturally from seed with the genes of two parents in them. There are different ways of getting these clones. One method is what Dr. Trevor Thorpe at the University of Calgary is using. It's called tissue culture. Basically, the scientist takes a little piece of tree needle and puts it into a jelly-like culture medium with vitamins, sugars, amino acids, and plant hormones in it. The piece of plant tissue grows into a funny-looking lump with little buds all over it. The scientist cuts the buds off and puts each one in a separate nutrient dish. He puts the dish in a growth chamber where the light, temperature, and humidity are carefully controlled, and pretty soon, the little bud starts to grow tiny needles and shoots. Next, it's put into another solution where it grows roots, and then this little baby clone is transferred to a pot of soil to grow like any other seedling. This kind of reproduction still needs a lot of research, but when it's successful, it can cut literally years out of the plant breeding process. For example, finding a good, strong, fast-growing tree that could resist a spruce budworm attack, and then cloning it could cut at least 20 years out of a traditional tree breeding program aimed at developing budworm-resistant trees. The idea isn't to grow whole forests of clones, though, because some diseases, especially viruses, can attack plants with certain genetic traits. A whole forest with exactly the same genes would be open to slaughter by that kind of attack. Instead, the clones would be used to pepper a reforested area with elite seedlings among the normal trees planted. That would give the overall forest more strength and vigor. There are a number of other biotechniques under study to develop elite trees besides tissue culture. All of them need a lot of work, and naturally research budgets are low. Just the same, one of these days you could be driving through the bush somewhere in Canada and see a plot of trees that look strangely similar. If you do, you might recognize it as an orchard of elite trees the biotechnologists have developed to help win the battle of the failing forests. I'm Noel McNaughton.